We are here for a little fireside chat with our special guests at Swingin at the Savoy 2020. My name is Lori Taniguchi. I'm a local teacher and organizer in this area. And this is actually, wow, okay. Thank you. Just trying to keep the Lindy Hop going. And I'm just so honored to meet Sugar again. We met at LHC. Yeah, last year, and Barbara for the first time. So we're looking forward to introducing you to the West Coast, which you haven't been here for a while, right?
Right, yes. 1964 was the last
1964.
We were out this way, yes.
Well, I know you have a lot of eager fans and dancers here who want to hear from you. So I guess the first question I have for you is, what got you into Lindy Hop? Tell me about how that happened.
Well, I was about 14 years old, and I had been tap dancing for some years, so it was time for something new. And I used to love to go to the movies, see all the musicals, because I love dance scenes and singing and, and the music. And I went to see How's a Poppin'. And I saw these crazy people flying all over the screen. That I've got to learn. So it was my first boyfriend. Him and I went to the movies. And I said, we should try to learn that. And he said, you think we could do that? I said, I'm sure we can. We can figure it out. So as long as the movie played, we were going every day after school, Saturday and Sunday, where you could stay in the movies all day, as long as there's a matron there in the children's section. So we would go and sit until she put us out, like 6 o'clock. That's when she got off, and children had to leave unless she was with an adult. It's kind of loud. It's kicking back.
Yeah, there's a lot of echo in this room.
Yeah, it's kicking back. So, Ray, his name was Eugene, his nickname was Ray. So Ray and I would go to the theater, and we would watch just to see these dance scenes, and then we would go to Central Park and find us a spot on the grass when nobody was around and try to figure out these steps. And we were members of a teenage canteen that was put in Harlem by the Pepsi-Cola Club. It was called Pepsi-Cola Company. It was called the Pepsi-Cola Club. And we went there from 13 years old to 18 years old. You were allowed to go in. And we would go there every day after school to do our homework. We played games. We had a jukebox. We had a pool table. And every month, we gave a show once a month. That's the only time our parents could come in the Pepsi-Cola Club. So when they wanted us, they came to the door and asked for us. Somebody would go find us, because it was strictly for teenagers. So we put on a show, and I was tap dancing and singing until we started trying to do this dance. So Ray and I would dance in the show. We would do Lindy Hop. And we figured out a couple of air steps to do, also aerials, and that's how I started. Yeah.
That's amazing. So I know that the movies aren't like YouTube today. We can't pause and slow it down or anything. So you were watching the entire movie of Hell's a Poppin' each time?
Every day. As long as it ran.
Did you memorize all the words and all the actors? And
most of the time we try to nod on it. Okay, it's coming up. Wake up, wake up. Yeah, because we're coming out of school, so yeah, something like that.
And when did you realize that those dancers in Hell's a Poppin' were dancing at the Savoy Ballroom in your neighborhood of Harlem?
That was years later, because I was 14 at that time when I first started saw the movie. And then when I went to the Savoy at 18, I couldn't get in till I was 18. That's when, and they start talking about the dancers, and they would come up, and say, oh yeah, they're in the movie, Hell's a Poppin'. I said, oh, really? These are the dancers? And then when I saw the guys, oh yeah, that's the guys I saw in the movie, and that's when I found out who they were. Yeah.
Great. So, Barbara, this is actually my first time meeting you. That's you. Barbara Billups, known for being the third place winner in 1958 Harvest Moon Ball Jitterbug Contest. Yes. That same year, your partner, Sunny, you were competing with someone else at that time, right? And Sonny Allen won first place with his partner.
Yes.
But then the two of you ended up partnering together after that for the show, Sunny Allen and the Rockets.
Yes.
Ah, so what brought you into Lindy Hop?
Well, it first started, I never went to school. I never had any tapping or anything. It's just that during my school year, they would always have a dance or something. I'm quite sure y'all probably have that now, that we had dances, and I was always there. We had plays. I was always in the plays, and all the time the plays had something to do with dancing. And no matter what they give me to do, I didn't do it. I just got right in the front with the rest of the people. And I love dancing with the boys. When they had the girls on one side, the boys on the other, I'd be on that side. But when it come time to dance, they say, no, I don't swing all over there with the boys. I like dancing. I like the way they was dancing better with the girls. And I was telling Sugar, I should have learned to lead. And I never learned to lead. Because I like the way the fellas do it. Now, I'm a good follower. I can follow. But it all started when I was in school and the dances and things that we had in school. So once I graduated out of high school, I lived with my grandmother. She told me, she said, now, Barbara, I've done all I can. Now it's time for you to go to your mother. And my mother was living in New York. So what she did, she sent me to my mother. So when she sent me to my mother knew that I always liked dancing, and I always liked to do anything. So she got my cousin to take me to the Savoy. So from the Savoy, that's when now, I was doing swing and stuff, but I didn't know what it was called. And I wasn't doing dancing that fast until I got to the Savoy.
So one of the things that really interests me about both of your careers is that you were learning to dance at a time there were no classes, there was no this whole weekend workshop structure. You just had to work hard and get noticed. And especially as someone who started out following, I'm curious about your thoughts about what makes an excellent star quality performer and follower.
Well, wait a minute now. Let me tell you how I got started into that Lindy dance. I was at the Savoy, and I used to go there from work, go home, get 2 or 3 hours sleep, take a shower, go to work, and then go to the Savoy. And I liked the way they dance. Great big flow, and they be out there just dancing. Well, I knew I couldn't do what they did, but I tried. So while they had a circle, and the people out there dancing, one dance with the other and stuff like that, I was on the outside trying to do what they was doing. And one day, this man came over to me. He didn't say one word. He just grabbed my hand. And I was pulling back. No, I can't do that. He said, I said, no, I can't. He said, do what I saw you doing there. So I said, well, I have nothing to lose. I know. So then he got me into the ring. Now, I know I must have been doing something right because every now and then, another fellow would cut in. So I had myself a ball that night. I didn't even want to go to work the next day, but I knew I had to survive. So I went to work that next day, and the next night, I went to the Savoy. Now, I'm saying to myself, I hope this fella, one of them fellas, danced with me. When I got into Savoy, this girl came up to me, she said, do you know who you was dancing with? I said, huh? She said, the fellow you was dancing with. I said, no. She said, that's my husband. So I said, your husband? She said, yeah. She said, come here. That's all. I said, come here. Let me show you what he was trying to get you to do. And she got me on the side. From that day to this one, she and I been just like that.
And what was her name?
Sugar Sullivan. Sugar Sullivan.
That's great. How about you, Sugar? What do you think makes an excellent follow?
Excellent follower. I don't know, just be enthusiastic and try to learn all you can.
Yeah.
You know, that's about what I would say.
Who were your inspirations when you were coming up?
I didn't have any female inspirations in the Savoy because there was only one girl. Her name, oh my gosh, I've forgotten her name. Isn't that something?
Was it Esther?
Esther Washington. She was dancing with the Lindy Hoppers. And I saw her, she came up a couple of times. But most of the ladies, they didn't come up like the guys would, you know. Frankie and Al Mims, they would come up maybe once a week when they were in town. But the girls, they didn't come up that much, you know. And if they did, they didn't really associate with us, you know. We didn't know, they figured we didn't know what he was doing, you know. But Esther Washington had a lot of footwork, and that's what I like. I didn't like just going out, coming into my partner. I wanted to do something with my feet, you know.
Yeah, because you were a tap dancer.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was trying to incorporate that, and that was about the only one. But mostly the guys taught me. You know, Blue Outlaw, Candy Carter, Ronald Hayes, you know, and they're the ones that taught me. To Lindy Hop, yeah.
Who would you say are your biggest influences of the leads that you danced with? Who do you think grew your dancing the most?
The leads, I think would be, I would say Blue Outlaw. Yeah, he taught me most of it.
And he wasn't he running the group after Whitey?
That I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know about that. But he taught me aerials, you know. Yeah, yes, he did. Blue Outlaw.
Yeah. How about you, Barbara?
All of them. It didn't matter with me who it was. As long as it was a fella that I know could dance, and most of them fellas there, they could dance. So whichever one, that's where I was. I told you I liked the men.
You know, my husband taught her a lot, too. Yeah.
Oh, yes, well, y'all know that by now.
He was a big influence on her dancing.
And that was George Sullivan, right?
George
Sullivan.
Right. That was my first husband, yeah.
And Sonny Allen, you worked with him for a long time, right? 15 years, I think, for Sugar. And is that the same for you, Barbara?
Yes.
No, she left us.
Oh, did she?
She lying.
Did she?
She left us.
Oh. When was that?
I don't know when she left. We were on the road. We were, you know, traveling all over Canada. And I don't know, one day she says, I'm leaving the group. I said, why? And she said, I'm getting too old. Look at her now. Look at her now, talking about I'm getting too old. She left the scene for 30 years, okay? She left the scene for 30 years. And every time I would come to New York, they'd have something. I come to New York, I tell her, there's going to be a dance, such and such a place, you know. Why don't you come? She said, I'll try, you know. So we were at Columbia University and celebrating Count Basie. And that night she showed up at the dance. I tried to get her to come that day because they did a photo on the steps of Columbia University of all these Lindy Hoppers, like 100 or so. And I wanted her in the picture, you know. And no, she didn't, but she showed up that night at the dance. And so during the dance, she said, you know, Sugar, I'm retired now, and, you know, if you need somebody to travel with you, you know.
That ain't the way it was.
I didn't finish. You didn't let me finish.
Okay.
She said, I'll help you with your, with your luggage, help you get dressed, do your hair, help you with your hair, your makeup, stuff like that, you know. So I said, oh, good. If she come and travel with me, she gonna be doing more than that, you know, yeah. But that's all she intended on doing. But the first trip we took was Harang, Sweden, 2006. And when it got to, they said, well, we can have a talk, you know. She said, well, what's a talk? I said, well, they have discussions that I tell about, the Savoy. They ask me questions. So she said, oh, that's nice, I says, it'll be the two of us. She said, no, I don't have nothing to say. I've never done anything. I said, Barbara, you were right there with me for a lot of it,
You
I said,
saw
we
it
traveled
all.
together, yes. I said, look at all the cities that we traveled to, So she was scared to death. And it turned out great. As soon as she said, I don't remember anything. That's what she told me before. But once we started talking, and she said, oh, yeah. And Leonard was asking us questions. She said, oh, yeah, and I remember when such and such. I said, yeah, okay. I got you now. I got you, yeah. But she's nervous every time we do a talk, She's nervous every time. She said,
well, Barbara, you're doing
oh,
great.
Here we go, another one of those talks, She
I don't
nervous.
like talking. I like to listen.
She runs her mouth all the time.
Well, my next question is actually about that time you guys were on the road with Sonny and the Rockets, and I know it was a song and dance troupe review, and you not only did swing, there was African dance and jazz and modern, and there were 4 girls and 1 guy, right?
Yes.
So you must have had to dance with each other and around each other for these sort of like review shows. What was that like?
My partner her name was Charlotte Thacker. Her nickname, we call her Mommy. And Mommy was my partner, and I was the follower. So I was the flyer.
Oh, so Charlotte would throw you?
Yeah.
Whoa, what would you do?
And then Barbara and Sonny would end up the act. We always ended the show with Lindy Hop. That was our last number on stage. And that's the way it went, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, Barbara, what were you dancing with Sonny in your Lindy Hop routines? Was it fast music like the Savoy? Or?
Fast music.
Oh, yeah.
It had to be fast.
Is this why you decided finally you were too old for this? Did everyone else get the slower songs? Is that what happened?
No.
Well, I think that must have been a really amazing show. My question is, what did you think of the swing dance scene as you traveled across the United States? Because, you know, at this point, we know what the scene looks like today, but back then, people were doing all types of dance everywhere.
Well, we didn't see any of that then, because we were
No.
performing. You know, we were doing shows every night, 2 or 3 shows, something like that a night. And so we didn't get a chance to go out partying, We didn't party when we were traveling. No, we were just working, And in the daytime was rehearsals and that type of thing, yeah.
And you've been working for a long time. I hear that you started working professionally really at 9 years old because you were studying with Buster Brown, one of the 3 Speed Kings, at 7. And you kept on dancing professionally and working even when you had your 2 kids, right? How did you manage that?
God bless mothers. My mother always loved entertainers, and so she understood even when I started going to Savoy, she understood the fever that I had gotten because she used to be a Lindy Hopper at the Renaissance. So she was a Renia dancer, her and my dad. So she didn't mind the babysitting, and then later on my mother-in-law, after, when we got married, my mother-in-law was the same way, I could drop off the kids at my mother-in-law half an hour, I'd be there in half an hour, got a gig, no problem, So I said, God bless mothers, yeah. Yeah, so that's how I was able to travel and everything, yeah.
So were you also dancing when you were pregnant?
Shh, don't tell nobody.
No, I think that's amazing.
With my daughter, which was my first, I danced till I was 7 months. I was going to the Savoy every night, Thanksgiving morning, I woke up and I looked down, I'm laying in the bed, and I said, where'd that mountain come from? I was like this that morning, and I said, oh boy, but I didn't think anything about the dancing. So when I went up to the Savoy and the bouncer said, whoa, where you think you going, sugar? I said, upstairs. You pregnant? I said, no, I've been pregnant for 7 months. He said, what? You been coming in here for 7 months? He said, well, you can't go upstairs. And I said, why? He said, no, they'll be afraid that you'll have an accident. You'll sue the management. I said, I won't dance, I'll just sit. He said, no. I said, but I have to wait for my husband to come pick me up, because my husband would come and pick me up, Sometimes he would come a little early and dance a little bit, but then he didn't Lindy Hop. So he says, okay, you can go upstairs and sit, but you're not to be on that floor. I'm telling all the bouncers upstairs, okay, all right. That was the most torture. I was sitting there and everybody flying and carrying on, and I just sit there and pat my feet. That's it. Well. So I told everybody, I said, well, y'all won't see me until my baby's born. I won't be back. I can't do this again. I said, probably they won't let me in anyway, you know. So I didn't go back until after she was born. So I did that twice with my son and my daughter.
I think that's very brave. So you both are considered part of the third generation of Savoy Lindy Hoppers. And I was wondering if you could paint us a little picture about what the Savoy was like during the times you were dancing there. Barbara, you were there.
Oh, yes, I was there. Well, let me see, can I describe it to you? It was about a block, almost a block and a half. You know what New York blocks are like, right? All right, it was about a block long, wide, and long. And the floor was it was the most beautiful floor I have ever seen. And this floor was the kind of floor you wouldn't believe it or not, but it kind of gives when you're dancing. You didn't feel it, but it did. It give you, and the lights, and I really can't describe it. You have to see it. And I hope somebody has some pictures that you can see what it looked like on the inside. But it was the most beautiful place you ever wanted to see.
I think we do have some black and white photos of the ballroom from the
that's
inside.
good,
Yeah,
that's good.
And a little bit of video footage of dancing that was happening there.
Good,
And,
okay.
and the music was continuous.
Yes.
When you walked in at 10 o'clock, it didn't stop until, say, 4 or 3 or 2. You know, the time they kept changing. They changed the time, came, you know, closed a little earlier, you know, as the years went on. And the bandstand accommodated 2 complete orchestras at one time. Because when the band played, the last song, when they would take a break, the next band would come on in that song and continue the same song, and then the first band would go to take their break. So there was no break. We ran to the bathroom and we in there, the matron say, oh, they changed bands. Oh, now they playing something. And we in there trying to hurry up, wash our hands, get out. You know, we didn't even want to go to the bathroom. It was a shame, yeah.
You just sweat it all out.
Yeah, yeah. And this went from 10 to 3 in the morning, you know? Yeah, the guys every night, they had their suits, shirt, tie on, wringing wet.
Wow.
Every night. But I think they said something about it cost them like 10 cents to get it pressed at the cleaners or something like that. And the ladies were always nice and clean and neatly, you know, dressed, yeah. And
But the
we
fellas,
had our sneakers on, though.
But the fellows always had on shirt, tie. You may see them take that loose, but they had to come in there dressed that way. They didn't come in there dressed any kind of way. You know, we really had to do the
No
thing.
T-shirts.
And the women the same
With the
way. No
bouncer.
T-shirts,
Yeah,
nothing
no
like that.
T-shirts.
No.
No.
But they didn't mind.
Yeah, it must have been very hot.
Some of them brought changing jackets and shirts and stuff, so they go in the bathroom and change. That's how wet they got from dancing.
So one of the things I also love about your love for swing dancing is you made friends out of this. The two of you are very
yes.
close. Yeah?
Well, we also have, there's 2 of us left in the Rockers besides us. One was my cousin. Her name is Lovey. They call her Lovely Lovey. She lives in North Carolina. And the other one is Lil Bit. She walked off her job when we told her she could come with us. She quit her job on the spot. Yeah, took her apron off. She was a waitress in Small's Paradise. She took her apron off, went and told her boss, I quit. And she lived right next door. She went upstairs, packed her bag. She was down in 10 minutes to get in that car. Because every year, every time we went on a trip or something, we come back, we tell a little bit about it. She said, oh, I wish I could travel with you all. I wish I could dance with you all, you know. And she just liked dancing. She didn't know Lindy Hop, you know, but she just liked dancing. And she had a beautiful face and a beautiful personality. And we took her on the road with us, and she was ready to go, man. And we had a ball. And we would practice with her. She would learn the routines, the other dance routines and everything. And she became quite a dancer. Yes, quite a dancer, yeah. So, you know, those 2 are still alive, Lovey and Lil Bit. And we try to get together in New York once in a while. You know, they'll come, yeah. Yes,
Because you're in Florida now, right?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
And Barbara, are you still
I'm in
New
New
York?
York. I'm in New
Sticking it
York.
out in the city. Yeah. The cold hasn't gotten you yet? This is why we like bringing people out to California in February. So, one more question about the Savoy Ballroom. I know that you taught the first stops routine today, right?
Yes.
And this was something that all the regulars knew. Can you talk more about what the regulars did in addition to the stops? Were they there for performance? Would they social dance? Would they meet new people? Like, what was that like?
Well, that was why her husband came and got me, because they was doing his second stops. I mean, the first stops. And I was trying to get it on the side. And I was doing something. I know I was with the music, and I know that. I know that much. And I guess he thought so too, because he said later on that he had been watching me. Every night I come to the Savoy, I'd be on the side while they was doing the stops. I was doing it too. I didn't have a partner. So he decided, well, I'm going to show her, take her, so she can get out of here with the rest of them. See, that was the problem with the people there at the Savoy. They don't care who you are or what. If they see you really trying and you really want to do something, anybody will grab you and try to help you get away. And believe it, you don't stop on them. If you know the sugar, and I won't let you stop either. If you say you can't do it, it's no word is I can't. You just have to try. And eventually, believe me, you'll get it. So don't start saying, oh, I can't do that. We had people in our classes do that. We go grab and bring them back. And before you know it, they would say, oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. But don't ever give up. And that's what we do at the Savoy. We don't, the men's, other women's there, they will help you, no matter who you are, if they see you really want to learn.
Last week in Munich, there was a gentleman. I showed the first step of the first stops, and he gathered up his things and started for the door, and Barbara stopped him. And I said, what's going on? She said, he's trying to leave. So I said, oh, no. I said, why? He said, I can't do that. I said, sure you can, I said, well, just try. Give us a chance. I said, just try, When the lesson was over, he came and hugged and kissed both of us. He said, I'm so glad you all made me stay. And he learned it. He learned the routine. He did it very good, yeah.
That's amazing. So we got to sort of wrap up here. But I know, we have quite a short time.
Shut up.
I'd like to ask you both one last question, and I'll also give you some time to think about it before you answer. So the question I have for you is, I want you to describe the other person as a dancer and as a friend in 3 words. Okay? So you think about that. And I'm going to talk to everyone here. Everyone, it's been such a pleasure having Sugar Sullivan and Barbara Billups here. Once again, this is the first time we've had them at Swingin' at the Savoy. This is one of the reasons we created SATS, is to bring the history and connect it to the jazz music, the dancing, everything you're doing, because it's one long tradition of really amazing stories and real people. So I hope that you have a time over this weekend to maybe approach Sugar and Barbara at their VIP table, sit down, introduce yourself, ask them a question, tell them how you got into dancing. They are really wonderful people, having talked to them individually, and they're so happy to talk with you. So don't be shy. Okay, are we ready for your answers now?
No.
Oh! Maybe Sugar goes first. All right,
I'm gonna finish first.
3 words to describe Barbara as a dancer and a person.
Great dancer,
That's 2.
loving person, and my life sister.
Oh. Those are good. All right, Barbara.
Well, she's bossy. She is lovable. She is my sister, but don't cross her.
That sounds amazing. So I think we'll just wrap up here, if that's okay with the time. Or do we have some time for questions? Where's my person that I'm looking at? Do we have time for questions from the audience? Maybe one or two? It's 12:46? Awesome. What time are we supposed to end? 12:50? Maybe one question. So we got one question here. The question is, will you be dancing tonight?
In my seat. In my seat. I don't venture out on the floor if I really don't have to. Because I can't dance a full song anymore, you know. I'm a little young, you know, so...
Young and inexperienced, right?
Yes,
yeah.
yes. But I can't dance a full song, and the turns kind of get to me, yeah. So I enjoy it, you know, in my seat.
Also, where do you go after you've danced with the people you've danced with, right?
No, don't say that. No, anyone, you know, can dance with anyone. No,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that. No.
Barbara,
Well,
will
you-
you be dancing?
Well, the trouble about it, you know, we're not as young as we look. But we have another class in the morning. And you don't want me to be out there on the floor and sprain my ankle. Can't do the class tomorrow, do you? Now, tomorrow night is another thing. We'll see.
All right, I think that's the end for reals. Everyone, a round of applause for Sugar Sullivan and Barbara Billups. Thank you so much, ladies.
And also give Lauren a hand. I think she's been great. She has really been great.